As written in the October 2018 issue of Pittsburgh magazine, it says, quote, "Type in the words single black mother and see what results pop up," unquote. When I read this heading, I was thoroughly interested in what the article had to say, but right away, this heading might conjure up both false and negative images, but quite the contrary. In reading further, I soon learned that the article referenced an amazing woman who has become a role model for so many single black mothers, if you will. This woman sought out to change the negative stereotypical inference that some may think that this topic suggests. Her name is Heather Hopson. Heather hosted a television show in the Cayman Islands. Today, she's back stateside at her home in Pittsburgh, and she's making things happen on a grand scale. Heather is the founder of a communications and marketing firm called Multimedia, which collaborates with others to tell diverse stories, provide unique perspectives, and increase visibility of important issues by creating campaigns that influences others and inspire action, all while addressing the needs of a gig economy. Being on the cutting edge of this workplace phenom, by 2020, it is said that 40% of the workforce will be part of the gig economy. Interesting fact. Heather is a dynamic entrepreneur who has also focused on diverse stories by providing unique perspectives and increased exposure of clients who have had such distinctive stories to share. She came up with the idea Single Mom Defined, a traveling essay and video series exhibit that chronicles the stories of 50 families from the Pittsburgh area. Some of the display was featured at the 2017 Three Rivers Art Festival in Pittsburgh. Single Moms Defined depicts mothers who have ended relationships or left abusive environments, some widowed, abandoned, or divorced, and even still, some mothers were raising children on their own or co-parenting, but under separate roofs. While aiming to capture and counter the negative connotations which typically defines single black mothers, Heather set out to also recognize the beauty, courage, intelligence, and ambitions of these wonderful women. Her goal was to provide a more accurate definition of the single black mother in an effort to educate society. In her quest, Heather also felt the importance of acknowledging black men who are active and present in the lives of their children and, in her words, I quote, "like her daughter's father," unquote. Garnering an outpouring of responses and support for this project from women across the country, Heather moved forward, breaking barriers. Through her exhibit and various programs, she has helped single moms feel supported and not alone as they navigate the rigors and blessings of parenthood. Allow me to introduce to you Heather Hopson. Heather, thank you so much for being on our show today and just telling all of our viewers all about this special project that you have. I am so very proud of you. From everything that I've read, you are the woman.
Thank you. I can't do it by myself. Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're honored to have you and to tell your story. So recently I read that you are being touted in Pittsburgh Magazine, or have been touted in Pittsburgh Magazine, as doing a documentary on single black parents, female parents. Tell us a little bit about that and how all of this came to fruition and how you got that wonderful accolade.
Thank you. Well, A Single Mom Defined is a photo essay and video series aimed at combating the negative narrative about single black mothers, and it provides a much more accurate definition. One day I was just sitting at home and Googled single black mom. You know how you Google yourself, I Google Heather Hopson to see what comes up. And when I typed in single black mom, all these really horrible things came up, like single black moms are not fathers, or irresponsible, or promiscuous, are trash. I mean, it was very disheartening. And I thought about myself and my friends and family members in my circle who are single moms, and we didn't fit those definitions. So I thought, okay, now what can I do? As a storyteller, naturally, I wanted to elevate these voices, because often Black moms aren't included in conversations about raising America. And so that's kind of where it started. So we captured photographs and stories of 50 families throughout the Pittsburgh region. Some moms came from as far as Erie to participate, and we wanted the kids to define us. So Google says one thing, so we wanted to know, what do our kids think? So we asked more than 100 kids to describe their mothers, and they said things such as, my mom is inspiring, my mom is innovative, my mom is intelligent, is beautiful, and the list goes on, which just showed that there were no adjectives that really were duplicative besides nice and pretty, and that came from the really little ones. But it just showed that we as Black women are not monolithic, that we are diverse, that we have lots of different stories, lots of different paths that we took to become single parents.
So clearly, negative stereotyping was, Google gives a negative stereotype, and you're out to prove differently, and you have, by all of the conversations that you've had with the women who have come forward. I really like that idea of the children speaking up and talking about their parents. Now, with those mothers having the single children, or I'm sorry, being a single parent and having children, maybe oftentimes more than one child, how do they feel about this project that you're doing?
They felt, I don't want to say empowered, because, we're not looking, I think single moms are powerful and don't necessarily need to be empowered by this project, but they felt recognized, that their voice was being heard, that often, society doesn't really turn to single Black moms for advice. They may look to us as being detrimental to a community, when in fact the moms are assets. Many of the moms have grassroots groups where they're doing everything from working with after-school programs and raising the self-esteem of children. One mom has a group called Pittsburgh Period, where she's collecting feminine hygiene products, because that's one thing that's not covered by government assistance. So I think they just felt really appreciative of the fact that they're being heard, that they're being seen, that they get to tell their stories. They wrote their stories, and part of the artwork tells their story in their hair, because as Black women we have a connection to our hair as far as history. So the moms felt uplifted, they felt like their voices were finally being elevated, and they felt loved, especially from their children, because when we interviewed the kids, we took them in a separate room and said, how do you describe your mom? And they came up with really an amazing list of words, where sometimes as a parent you don't necessarily get that. Right. It's like you don't necessarily feel appreciated, especially as a single mom. You might be the enforcer all the time and not necessarily the entertainer as far as your parental role is concerned. So the moms really felt very special to be heard and seen and loved by not only their family, but by the community as well.
And it's very disheartening to know that single Black moms are stereotyped in that manner. I mean, I know several Black moms, and single Black moms, I should rephrase that, and they are heads of corporations, they are attorneys, they are police officers. I mean, all of the above. They have made exemplary strides in the communities and in the areas in which they live and in which they work. So it just befuddles me to the point of hearing what you're saying and knowing that it's so different for single Black women, especially single Black moms. to be looked at in that light.
Right. So oftentimes it's just based on
Perception. Exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
perception isn't necessarily reality. And research has shown that when someone continues to hear or see harsh and limited descriptions, especially of African Americans, they begin to start to believe it. It becomes their reality if
Right.
they aren't necessarily coming into contact with people, whatever the group is that's being stereotyped. So although, it's very disheartening, it's not necessarily surprising. And you're right, single black moms are running businesses, heading nonprofits, working their way up the career ladder.
Absolutely.
And even those who may on paper have started out in a very stereotypical way, they have seen success through their struggles and have been able to turn burdens into blessings. One mother in particular, she talks about how she became a mom when she was a teenager and she lived in a housing project, but she since was a mom of two. She went to college, she obtained a degree, she started a business, she has a really good job, and she's now married and expanded her family. So even if someone does fit what society's stereotype is, oftentimes that's only a little piece of the puzzle,
right.
and not necessarily the entire
Right.
picture.
Right, and so it is just so wrong to put everyone in that same pot, so to speak, because it isn't like that. I know, case in point, very close to me, of a person who was married very young, had her first child when she was 16, and then she since had another daughter, and got divorced because she was in an abusive relationship. She used to work at the steel building downtown cleaning, and someone told her that, you know what, in order for you to get out of here, you're going to have to look at some other things and do some other things. And this particular person was very shy in doing so and said, I felt that she couldn't, because she felt that all she had was her two girls living in Arlington Heights at the time. So with that, this person got a job, got a very good job, has elevated through the ranks of the job, has become a leader in the job, one of the very highest positions in the job, and she has maintained that position for, this is like 42 years now. That person happens to be my sister.
Right, and so that's one of the stories that aren't being told, especially in the media, whether it's traditional media or entertainment media, and that's why this project, I felt, was so necessary to be able to tell these stories, because there's more positive stories than there are negative stories, and the women became single moms for lots of different reasons, and sometimes people think it's just one reason and they
right.
blame the mom, whereas we have one woman, she's a widow. We have, so lots of women took lots of different paths. Some women are widowed, divorced, exited abusive relationships. Perhaps they were abandoned.
Correct.
Perhaps their child's father is incarcerated, or perhaps, such as myself, you still maintain a positive co-parenting relationship with the father. And the one person who is probably stereotyped more than a single black mom is black men.
Exactly.
And oftentimes people think in society that we're raising our kids solo, and that's not the case. My daughter's father, for instance, plays a very active role. He sees her on a regular basis. We share custody, and that's really important to get out there, that a lot of these men are really active, and they're showing up financially, physically, and emotionally.
Yes, they're very active in their children's lives. But you know what? It's just, when I sit back and listen to you, I just think it's kind of ironic that black women, single black moms, seem to be stereotyped in that way, but then other cultures aren't. And it just seems like, I guess it's more prevalent or more prominent, that other cultures don't seem to face that, which there are women in those cultures who are single parents. And the other side of that coin is the fact that the parent is so much more than just single, if you look at the word single.
Right, single just means unmarried.
Unmarried, but maybe someone wanted to have a child and not be married. That's still a single, you know, we're talking about black women, that's still a single black woman. And again, as you said, with your child's dad, he's very prominent in her life.
We have women who adopted, and so those are women who chose to become single mothers. For the most part, most of the women didn't set out saying, I want to be a single mom, I want to raise a child by myself, I don't want to get financial support. That wasn't the case, but life happens, and sometimes relationships don't work and they fail, and these women are picking up the pieces and becoming the best moms that they can be. So although we're telling a lot of the positive stories, although we're talking about how there could have been a tragedy and the woman triumphs over this, women who perhaps the father is deceased. But it's really important to also note the negative side. The fact of the matter is, in Allegheny County, according to a recent report by Femisphere, 78% of households, family households in poverty, are led by single moms. So, you know, it's more than, you know, there's a lot of policies, and, you know, we have to dig a little deeper to find out why is that. Oftentimes it's childcare. You may not have proper childcare to be able to go to a job interview or to even accept a job. So it's important that this project raises awareness about that statistic, because if Pittsburgh is supposed to be one of the most livable cities, it gets all these, you know, accolades across the nation, then it needs to be the most livable for all. And not only is that statistic alarming, the fact that, you know, we're the 6th highest city in the city of Pittsburgh, the 6th highest city for poverty for African American children.
That's disheartening. That's very disheartening to even hear that, or to fathom that, you know, in our city that is very rich in a lot of resources here.
Right, Google's right down the street.
Exactly, that continues to happen. So, let's flip the coin a little bit, and let's talk about your documentary. So
first, I applied for a grant through Advancing Black Arts in Pittsburgh, and this is a grant that is through both the Pittsburgh Foundation and the Heinz Endowment, and they were able to really provide the initial funding. Otherwise, without that support, I would not have been able to do this. It's really expensive. I worked with multimedia producers Omari Sousa and Robert Waters through my communications and marketing firm called Motormouth Multimedia, and received that initial grant to do the work, and then received a second grant through both of the foundations, in addition to the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, to unveil the exhibit at the Arts Festival. And this is something new that they started this past year, is to give African American artists an opportunity to gain access to the festival, because oftentimes, you know, the cost may be an obstacle. Just being aware of, you know, what the process is. So, you know, that was just, you know, such a blessing to receive that support. Both foundations are really focusing on poverty, on single moms. The Pittsburgh Foundation did research, and they're getting ready to release it later this year from what they found. So at the festival, it was interesting because we surveyed people that came in and out, and we wanted to talk to people, not people that kind of popped their head in for a couple minutes and left, but rather people who stayed and read the stories and talked to the moms. So we surveyed people, 400 people in fact, and found that more than 50% said that they stereotyped or viewed a single mom in a negative light due to her circumstance. And that included other women of of color. So it was surprising that the perceptions weren't necessarily from someone of an opposite race, but it was across the board. Some mothers who are currently single Black moms said that they did stereotype before and until they like walked in someone's footsteps.
Yes.
And so we also asked the question of, okay, so after you came to the exhibit and you were able to engage in the exhibit, what changed? And 93% said that they now view single Black moms in a much more positive light, that they sort of had like a mindset shift, which shows why it's so important to promote positive images of African Americans so we can change the perception. And so, you know, this reality that we see becomes everyone's reality.
Right. And on top of that, with the 400 people that you did interview, you can positively see that that was not skewed in any way because they were up front and center with their thoughts
and it was
opinions.
anonymous.
Yeah, you know, so it couldn't have been any more positive than that. You know, to really get to, I guess, the nitty gritty, if you will, of exactly the thoughts of what people think about the project and about single Black moms.
And the majority wanted to see the exhibit installed throughout the city. So we've been in talks with lots of places. We are installing the exhibit at a health department summit that's coming up. We're in talks with installing it at the Carnegie Library. We're here at Repair the World. So it is a traveling exhibit, and this is just a portion of the exhibit. We have stories of all 50 mothers.
That's wonderful. I do know that at the city-county building, I'm not certain of what time of year, I think it may be around this time, but they have exhibits there, and I think that this would be a marvelous showcase for a place to showcase this wonderful project, because I mean it's so inspiring to see the work that you've done and the women that you have helped to give recognition to expose what this problem is and why people should think differently, because it's just a very profound project that people need to know about.
You know, although we want to change the negative narrative and we want to sit down with Google and figure out how the search engine works, when you look behind the scenes, I found that a lot of it has to do with marketing dollars. So if people aren't pumping marketing dollars into positive promotion of Black women, then that's not what you're going to see.
Correct.
Oftentimes you're going to see images that are pornographic. Why? Because the porn industry is a billion-dollar industry, and with not only Black women, but Asian women, Latina women, when you Google us, not so nice images come up.
Right.
So it goes beyond having a mindset shift of others. It goes beyond shifting the mindset of others, but to also include changing the perceptions that we feel about ourselves. Because, you know,
well, it starts here.
Right, and so you're impacted, and so some of the women, you know, you might have low self-esteem or you might be insecure, because if you're constantly hearing these negative things about you, and you may not have an example of something positive, perhaps within your circle, you don't see other single moms that are thriving, and you may see someone who's just surviving. So it's really important to uplift the self-esteem, boost the confidence of moms, and to support them. We started a Facebook group called Single Mom Defined. There's more than 600 women in the Pittsburgh region that are part of this group, and it continues to grow. And we have monthly meetups. You know, we do advocacy. I've met with judges and different folks down at the court, and just so we can work together, because, you know, our voices can be a lot stronger.
Right, and that serves as a whole different dynamic. You know, pulling that all together, getting with all of the other resources that you're talking about, having the groups that you're talking about. I think that it's wonderful that people have the outlet to be able to come together and to be able to share a lot of the negative stereotypical things to dissuade that realm of thinking, I guess I'm trying to say, and to show the positive images of single black women.
Because sometimes you think it's just you that went through something.
Right.
I was dumped in my second trimester, and I thought, oh my goodness, I am the only person that has been abandoned, that somebody broke up with. But then when I connected with these women, several had the same stories.
And I think too that also allows the women to be empowered to know that they can reach the heights that, because they were shunned or shamed or however you want to put it, they're now empowered to think differently because of this program, because of your groups that you have, you know, because of your workshops and things that you have. I think it's absolutely fabulous. It is. It gives people a sense of belonging. And isn't that what we all want? Just to have a sense of belonging, and to know that we are somebody.
Right, because ultimately, although this project features African American moms, you know, we're just like other moms who want the best for our kids, and will do whatever we can, whether it's working 2 jobs or, you know, sacrificing sleep to be that best mom. And what we find in the group, like our group isn't limited to race, religion, etc., location. And what we find is, you know, the more you get to know someone, the more you walk in their footsteps, the more you hear their stories, you learn that we're more alike. And we should celebrate our differences and embrace the uniqueness, but also know that, you know, we're in this together.
That you're inclusive and not exclusive.
Right.
You know, that you're a part of something that can really help you. I think this is fabulous. So tell us about how you went about to get the grants to be able to foster this.
So back in 2014, I received the same grant for my website, Diary of a First-Time Mom, and that really allowed me to grow the platform and to redesign the website, and it really increased visibility. I was able to increase my following on social media, drive up my traffic, and even got opportunities to serve as a spokesperson for companies like Netflix and Playtex Baby and Hamilton Beach. Got an interview or an invite. I received an invite to the White House. I like to say it was from the former First Lady Michelle Obama, but I mean, I'm sure it was like through her staff. But you know, that opportunity allowed me to really increase the site, increase the site's visibility.
And you did go to the White House.
I did.
And not to cut you off, but when you got to the White House,
I cried.
Who did you see there? Did you see First Lady Michelle Obama?
Yes, so we met with the First Lady, received a tour of the White House. They selected 50 women of all, I think it was they selected 50 women, mostly mom bloggers across the country, YouTubers. So I was just ecstatic to be there. And if it wasn't for the foundation support, it would have took a lot longer to really grow my platform, to receive such visibility and recognition. And so a couple years later, I applied again for the Single Mom Defined grants.
So I'm curious, once you got to the White House and there were a lot of other women bloggers there, was there a time when you had the opportunity to speak about your project? Were the women to speak about their project, or was this just a gathering?
At the time, this project didn't come to fruition, and so they invited people to talk about health and nutrition.
Okay, so how does that play into?
So I surveyed the members in the Single Mom Defined group to find out what topics were of interest, and one of the main topics was health, and that was of interest on a national level. That was the conversation at the White House. Oftentimes as moms, we spend time taking care of our kids, but not necessarily taking care of ourselves. So I've since had conversations with United Ways Fit United, the health department. I train with OJ Macklin Fitness, and we're coming up with ideas to where single moms can access services such as personal training, meal planning, and different things of that nature, because we want to be able to really take care of ourselves and in turn take care of our families and pass on these healthy habits.
That's excellent. Are you living your dream?
I think so. It kind of changes from day to day. Sometimes I think like, oh, this is it. This is last project. And my dad then tells me, no, I know you're always going. It's like my brain is constantly moving. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'll get out the shower and write down 10 ideas. But, you know, I would say yes. You know, I'm really happy, have a beautiful daughter who's my inspiration for this work. I'm able to give back. We're having events that raises money and raises awareness for nonprofits serving single moms and children, such as Free Stores and Jeremiah's Place, which provides emergency daycare services. So yeah, and I also have a business called mommyandmeteas.com, and a portion of the proceeds go back to benefit single moms. So I would say yes at the moment, but that dream seems to change every day.
You have such a passion with a purpose, and I think that is so awesome. And just keep the dreams coming. Just keep it going, because you have so much to give. I mean, I can just tell from what we've talked about today, from these beautiful photos back here, and what you're doing for single black moms, giving them a reason to get up. Give them a reason to feel empowered. Give them a reason to feel respected. They have to have that within themselves, but oftentimes they have to have a means of someone telling them that you are good enough. You can do this. You are beautiful. And you do that. And do that for them.
That's important. And that's definitely not me. It comes through God. I really feel as though I'm walking in my purpose. And when you walk in your purpose, your path is directed for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're the blessed one. And you transcend that blessings to others.
That's exactly what my parents say. If you're blessed, bless other people. Absolutely. And so I try to use this platform as a way to raise awareness for other moms. For instance, I can't speak for all moms. I was fortunate enough to be born into a middle-class family and go to college and, you know, have a child later in life. So I don't necessarily have the financial struggles that many single moms in Pittsburgh face, but that doesn't mean that, you know, that you're not supposed to care, that you're not supposed to try to change that, even if something doesn't affect you. And I think as a single mom, we're all in this together.
We're all affected. We're all affected by it, because we're here to help one another. I believe that's why God put us here, to help one another and to be able to encourage one another to be bigger and better than what we may be already, to have that self-gratification within ourselves to be better. So what else do you want us to know about your fabulous project, or what other projects have you thought about in the shower?
So this project is through Motormouth Multimedia, which is a collective of creatives and consultants of color. I found that as a communications director, I oftentimes would send out RFPs, but couldn't send it to a firm of color because it's Pittsburgh. Most of my friends have moved on to bigger cities that have more opportunities for African Americans. But I wanted to be able to elevate these stories and to increase diversity and increase important issues. So we were able to come up with this collective, and this is hopefully the first of many projects like this.
Your dreams. That's fabulous. So, last question. Who is Heather Hopson?
Long list. I guess it depends on who you ask. If you ask me, I just say I'm a child of God, and I want to serve Him and walk out my purpose in life.
Enough said. Doesn't get any better than that. Does not get any better than that. Thank you, Heather, so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
And sharing your story, this wonderful story. All of our viewers are going to have an opportunity to hear your story and hopefully be a part of it by contacting you, because we'll have all your information on the ending credits.
Our website.
Yes, visit your website and maybe be able to share some things. And hopefully we can reach out to some other single Black moms who would love to be encouraged by you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Heather Hopson has pulled together single Black females who have a purpose. And this purpose that these females have is they have nonprofits. And they're here celebrating their nonprofits this evening and giving all of this information to all of the visitors here today. So come on, let's take a walk. Okay, Heather, so good to see you again. This is a wonderful event tonight. Tell us what it's all about.
So Cocktails with a Conscience is basically a cocktail party with a purpose benefiting about a dozen nonprofits serving single moms and children. If you look around the room, we have different organizations at their tables. We have a passport that people can collect stamps as they travel around Repair the World to learn about how they can help meet the needs of single moms and children throughout the region.
And this is excellent. I mean, I see so many people here that are taking advantage of this. You have a lot of food here for everyone. You know, I'd like to go around and just speak to some of the moms that we talked about in our first interview.
Yes,
is that good?
Some of the moms are actually here representing organizations as well. So they're single moms and they're sharing their stories, and they're also giving back to help support other single moms who may not necessarily be at the same place along their journey. We have Jessie, who founded Pittsburgh Period, Kim, who started Beauty Beyond Brokenness, Kelly started Fro Gang, and all these organizations are just here to love and support and meet the needs of our moms. We have other moms in the crowd who were photographed as a part of the series. They continue to come out. They've seen this exhibit multiple times, so it just really warms my heart that they're able to continue to support over and over again. We have members of different organizations, community partners, foundations, so I'm just really blessed that people care.
This is a very blessed event. So why don't you walk with me and introduce me to some of the...
Sounds good. Let's
do it.
travel
Let's
with
travel.
our passport. So the first stop is Fro Gang, and next to Fro Gang is Beauty Beyond Brokenness. Kim actually participated in the photo shoot, and not only was she a mom in front of the camera, she also works behind the scenes. She supports our Single Mom Defined Facebook group, and she has her own organization, which she can probably do a much better job explaining.
Hi, Kim. So tell me, what does all of this mean to you today?
All of this means that I have the support of not just Heather herself, but the other moms that are in the Single Mom Defined group, and just knowing that the vision that I have is going to be able to be executed, because we have people like Heather that keeps in mind that it's hard to wear the different hats that we wear as business owners, as women, as mothers, and we truly, really need that support. So just having that support is something that's just, more than I can ever express into words.
Does this make you feel empowered?
It does. It absolutely does. Knowing that there's someone that believes in me. She doesn't have to be around me every day. She doesn't have to talk to me every day. She believes in my vision, and she believes in everything that I do. She believes in me as a mother and as an individual. I absolutely feel supported and empowered.
Nice to meet you as well. So tell us your story.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a resident of Braddock, and my name is Cheyenne Prunty. I am an assistant manager, and I'm also a volunteer at the Braddock Free Store. The co-founder is Giselle Fetterman, and she started the organization since 2012. The reason behind the Free Store is because she was raised in New York, of course. Once she left Brazil, came here to New York, and saw how people would throw away new items, and it was just like a tragic thing to her. So she always told herself if she would come over here, once she met her husband, and that's when she said, I would like to start a nonprofit organization, and it's called the Free Store. So we basically help out everyone across the world. There's no restrictions. You don't have to live in Braddock. Everything is free. We just ask for a hug in return. We don't take large items such as furniture or things of that nature, but we do take household clothing, donated food. We also have a connection with Costco, John Eagles, Trader Joe's, 412. So it's pretty good, and we're still going. We just celebrate our 6th birthday.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
That's fabulous. Well, you keep up the good work. And you know what? I'm going to give you a hug.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you so much for sharing your story.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care.
So this is my friend Kristen. She started an organization called the Ozzy and Me Scholarship Foundation because she was a single mom in college, had a baby, but that didn't stop her from earning advanced degrees. And she wanted to give back to other moms who may face financial obstacles. And she was also one of the moms featured in the exhibit. So Kristen can tell you all about her beautiful son, Ozzy, and her organization.
Hi, Kristen. Good, thank you. So tell us your story and your beautiful Ozzy.
So I had my son my senior year. I got pregnant my senior year of undergraduate, and I was due on graduation day, and he waited 10 days, thankfully, so I could walk across the stage. And I went on to begin graduate school with a 3-month-old, and it was really, really hard. Really hard. I was breastfeeding. I was like trying to be super mom, and I finished. My son's dad was in Virginia. I was here in Pittsburgh, going to the University of Pittsburgh, and really a rigorous.
Alma mater.
Oh, really? So it was a really rigorous program, but I graduated, and I kind of shared my story after graduation. I'm like, let me make sure I can do it before I share, but I shared my story, and so many young women contacted me saying how they were inspired, and even older women saying this is my story, and thank you for sharing, we're really proud of you, and things of that nature. So I really started this to create a platform for other moms like myself to say you're not the first one and you won't be the last one. There's people before you who have done this. So we do this by providing a $1,000 scholarship to a young mom 17 to 25 enrolled full-time in the undergraduate or graduate degree program. We also do our Mom Goals Monday, where we highlight different moms on our social media who have gone through college as a single parent, excuse me. So it's really creating this network of support to say, we got you, we did it, this is what worked for us, and how can we support you? So definitely finances are important, but it's also having a network of women who are behind you, rooting you on. And that's really what we intend to do through the Scholarship Foundation. And there's just so much research around the benefits of college education and helping single moms overcome poverty. There's improved health outcomes. It's just a plethora of benefits to completing versus never starting or even not completing college and starting and having some college. So we just want to support moms because we believe when we support mothers, we're supporting their children and we're advancing our community. So it's all about the bigger picture.
And as well, with all its support and with all that you have to offer, it's a key motivator in helping, single moms or single moms to be able to get over that hurdle and to be able to be successful and finish college and go on and get their graduate degrees and that it's like the go wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do.
What we want to do is say your child should be your motivation and not your excuse. So go after all of those dreams, those really big ones that scare you. I've always wanted to be a philanthropist, and it's I feel like what I thought was an obstacle in my life and what was going to be challenging allowed me to really fulfill what I feel is like my passion and something I found purpose in doing. So it's been a great experience, and just connecting with different moms and hearing their stories for me has been just so life-changing, because it's like we need a platform. And the work, single moms are amazing, and they're like doing great things. So to be able to speak for young moms, you know, to say, you don't have to wait until you're 30 or your kids are 10 to go back to school. You can do it now, and the benefits will be awesome.
Strong Black women can do anything. As long as we have the support, the motivation, and feel empowered, we can do anything.
Absolutely, and that's what we hope to give our moms who are involved, you know, that support, the example, the resources, because we also meet with them, and you know that you may have an issue with books, or you may have an issue with finding suitable childcare. So it's like, okay, sis, this is not going to be an excuse. Let's work it out. And we have a network of women who are well connected and utilizing their resources to make sure that we're supporting these women as much as we can.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, and good luck to you and your nonprofit. You're so welcome.
We captured images of 50 moms, and for their headshots, we told their story in their hair, because as African Americans, we have so much history connected to our hair. It can sometimes tell your tribe, your origin, just who you are. And all of our moms wrote an essay to go along with their photos. And this example, Kenise talks about how she went to hear her baby's heartbeat, and instead she heard the words, "Your baby doesn't have a heartbeat." After going through one of the most traumatic experiences of her life, she later became a mom about a year later. And so each of the moms has a unique story, which just continues to reinforce that we're not monolithic, that we're diverse, that we each came to be a single mom on a different path to parenting.
Right. This is so awesome. I mean, these headshots are beautiful, but what's even more beautiful is the stories that they tell behind the face. This is extraordinary. This whole event this evening is very extraordinary. It allows people to embrace what they don't know, and this is giving them the platform to be able to expose what they do and to get people involved. And I'm really appreciative to you for that.
Thank you, and I'm appreciative to you guys coming out and to repair the world. If it wasn't for Rachel and Savannah and the whole crew here, this would not have happened.
So kudos to Repair the World. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you guys?
I'm well. Tell
Good.
us about your nonprofit.
Yeah, so Machi Pittsburgh, we are a nonprofit in Pittsburgh that works specifically with kids and families impacted by incarceration. So a lot of our kids have a parent or a close loved one in jail or prison, and giving them a mentor can act as an extra form of support when their parent is away. So for giving a kid a consistent form of support helps break that cycle of incarceration in families. So a lot of our kids never see the criminal justice system. Yeah. So
That's excellent, and that's what we need in today's society and the way things are going for our young people today. That is so needed.
it's so important.
Absolutely. And you work with Anna?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. And Heather, like she said, she's one of our mentors. She's been around for a while, so it's good. Yeah, we're always recruiting for mentors, looking for mentors to work with kids. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us and with our viewers. Thank you.
So this is my friend Lisa, fellow single mom. She's the executive director of Jeremiah's Place, and we're collecting pajamas for her organization. So,
hi, how are you?
Doing well. So tell us your story. I love Jeremiah's Place.
Thank you so much. Well, we are Pittsburgh's only crisis nursery. We are one of 3 in the state and the only one in this area. So we serve children birth to 6 years old when their parents, mostly single mothers, are experiencing a crisis or an emergency. Anything as severe as fleeing domestic violence and homelessness to having a job interview and not having anyone safe to leave their children. We become a bridge to bridge that gap for families.
So how would someone learn about Jeremiah's Place?
They learn about us through all of our partner agencies. There are many social service agencies that we work with, homeless shelters and so forth, are really familiar with who we are and what we do for families. And so a lot of people refer, word of mouth. We have a wonderful website, and Facebook is our mainstay getting the word out. It's just Jeremiah's Place Crisis Relief Nursery. People can reach out to us, and we're located in the Kingsley Center, so it's a place that people are in all the time, and so it's a really convenient, easy place for people to get to.
And the Kingsley Center is located where? Let our viewers know, because some people don't know.
The Kingsley Center is located right on Frankstown Road, behind Bakery Square, down from Target in East Liberty. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for telling your story. You're so...
We love Heather. We love this process. We've served 700 children in 5 years and over 500 families. So we know the need is there. So this opportunity to be here and share our information is really meaningful to us. So thank you.
Those numbers are amazing. Amazing that you've helped so many.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
I will. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So when people come to Cocktails with a Conscience, they'll get a passport as well as a travel itinerary. They'll travel, repair the world, and learn more about the organizations that are serving single moms and families. They'll receive a stamp and have an opportunity to win a prize, and also an opportunity to connect with organizations, because we really want to enforce that it goes beyond just one day, one night, one fundraiser, but we want to catalyze people to get involved, to volunteer. Not everybody can donate money, and we understand that. A lot of times you need man hours and just kind of like that physical labor to help really make the world, actually repair the world.
I'd like to thank Heather Hopson for putting on a phenomenal event this evening. It showcases single Black moms who happen to be entrepreneurs in the nonprofit arena. So with that, I'd like to say again, thank you, Heather, for doing an outstanding job. I'm Diane Richard, your host of Let's Talk. We'll see you next time. So, there you have it. Phenomenal women with phenomenal purposes. Heather Hopson is certainly on a crusade to bring awareness, support, and hope. Strong women reaching back to pay it forward. Heather is truly an unsung hero. Thanks for watching Let's Talk with Diane Richard. If you have a story or an unsung hero you would like to have considered for a program, please email us. We would love to hear from you.